What's going on? This is your man John Fortune, your host of the Frustrated Fan Sports Show, and today is my preview show. Preview of the upcoming Commanders versus the Philadelphia Eagles game. This is a game where Washington has to rebound from the earlier loss from the Eagles on Thursday night, a night that the game was it was a quick turnaround. So you could kind of tell that Washington was exhausted, and that was right before they went into their bye. So it was a game that they really struggled in, really had a problem trying to keep up and everything like that. So that was a game that they honestly needed. Now, I will say this. To me, this game is more than just a rebound game. This game is more than just a get back game. This game is more than get my lick back game. This is a game where you have to sit up there and you have to analyze it from a standpoint that this game will prove a lot to other teams in the playoffs and not have teams look at us as we have an opportunity to get to the second round if we face the Commanders. Like, we cannot let the teams in the playoffs think that we're an easy out, especially the Philadelphia Eagles, because we might, because again, Detroit has lost, and they need this game to get themselves into the first spot. But we need this game to prove to teams that we're not slouches. So we're going to need this game more than anything because, again, a lot of people are talking about, oh, well, what if we see Tampa Bay? What if we see Minnesota? I'm not scared of this team. I'm not scared of that team. To be quite honest, we should be scared of any team because guess what? They're probably looking at us the same way. I mean, yeah, we can sit up there and think that we can beat Seattle, but Seattle might be looking at us and being like, oh yeah, we can beat them. We got a superior running game and they struggle against the run. So it's no big deal. You know, like, understand, their Seattle secondary, they have shut down corners. When you talk about, even though Tariq Woolen has been struggling this year, and that's something that's not been talked about a lot, but Tariq Woolen has been struggling this year, but Devin Witherspoon is shutting things down. He is not playing. But again, the Philadelphia game will prove a lot to the teams in the playoffs. Because even with that, when you think about the Detroit Lions and all the injuries that they've encountered and are going through and everything like that, they're not a slouch team either. And understand, they may want to see a team like us. Like, they may want Philly to take over the top spot so they can take over a spot to face us. You know what I'm saying? Because they may feel like, look, we got these injuries going on. Let's get a week of a break. And then let's sit up here and actually face the Commanders. That'll be an easy victory and a win for us. We'll get some guys back from injury. Then we can keep moving on in our quest for a Super Bowl title. We need to not let teams think that about us. We need to go into this Philly game and act like we really want to win. Act like we really want to dominate. There are a lot of things that we can do against this Philadelphia team. Now that Marshawn Lynch is on our team and Mikey Sanders has been playing very well against other teams, number one, we're talking about we can actually do a lot of damage against this Philly team, especially in their passing game. Like, we can actually stall their passing game. The thing about it is that we got to also find a way to stall Saquon Barkley. Because if we don't stall him, we're in a heap of trouble when you talk about that. Now, again, there are things that don't work in our favor against Philadelphia. Our offensive line has been playing very awfully for the past, I say, 6 or 7 games? Like, they've been playing very badly. I told y'all, Samuel Cosme, like, the offensive line as a whole, they average about 4 penalties a game. and they're all holding penalties and things like that, or illegal man downfield. Like this has been their MO for the past, I say at least 5 or 6 games. Like, they have been showing this all the time. And like I said, one of the bigger culprits at this point is Samuel Cosme, the guy who's supposed to be our best offensive lineman. He's been the biggest culprit when it's come to a lot of these penalties that Washington has been experiencing. So again, you're talking about having to deal with what is a very formidable front. This is not going to be an easy game, especially for our offensive line. They're also pretty stout against the run. We saw last week that New Orleans made their intentions clear that they were not going to let us run the ball. And that's something that we got to understand with that. Now, people have to understand this as well. Terry has been the Eagles' killer, and we gotta find a way to test those young corners. Test Cooper DeJean. Test Quentin Mitchell. Because you got to test these guys, especially against Terry McLaurin, who's having not only a Pro Bowl season, but a all-pro season. Like, this is the first time we've seen Terry have such an elite season. And I think that on the all-pro team, they take about 6 receivers. I think it's 4 or 6, something like that. Terry is going to be in one of the topics as an all-pro this year, which means that he's going to, again, all of y'all who say he's not elite, he's going to really show you guys that he is elite, and he's been showing it this year. And again, we can take advantage of these corners. They're young, they've been playing well, but we didn't give Terry the opportunity to really test these guys. And this time, it's time to test them. Now, we will probably see Terry double covered, triple covered, because I'm pretty sure they're not going to want him to go off, especially against their young corners. But at this point, we don't care. We need to do everything we can to win this game, because this will be a statement game. You know, I know people are talking about Atlanta, but Atlanta, we can't worry about that right now. But I will say this. I did predict this in my season prediction show. I told y'all, when it came to Atlanta, if Kirk was playing, we were going to win. If Kirk was not playing, we were going to probably have a problem, because the real bon voyage, which is Michael Penix, will be playing, and he's going to get a game before he sees us. So that's going to be something that's serious. But back to the Philly game. We have to do everything we can to win this game. Like, this is not a game to be playing around in. This is not a game to be trying to figure something out. This is a game that if something is working, keep at it until it stops working. This is a game where we need Jaden to be accurate on his passes. Like, if Terry is open, he needs to make sure he hits Terry in stride. Again, big opportunity was missed for Terry that not only have 5 touchdowns, Terry would have had 200 yards, and I think that a 200-yard game for our receivers, I think the closest guy that's ever gotten to 200 yards might have been either Art Monk or Gary Clark. If I can remember, I think that they probably the closest that's gotten it. Because I think Gary Clark had a 190-something yard receiving day. I think it was 190-something or 180-something. I know he had one game where he had a lot of yardage. And I think that Art Monk had 150 or 140 something. So, like I said, don't quote me on that, but I think that if you really give Terry the opportunity, Terry can end up having a 200-yard receiving night. Like I said, last week he would have had that. Terry would have had 5 touchdowns and 200 and something yards receiving, which would have been insane for anybody who's seen this team over the years. We haven't had those type of numbers from a wide receiver in ages. So that would have been fantastic to have seen that. But again, we're going to have to do it. Our defense. Our defense is going to have to do everything they can to sit up there and limit Jalen Hurts. We cannot have Jalen Hurts do anything. If you watch Jalen Hurts, like I said, I told y'all last week that when the whole tension was going on and everybody was talking in the media, I told y'all in the very next game they were going to be throwing the ball a whole lot and that they weren't going to be running the ball that much. And guess what happened? In Pittsburgh, they went off throwing the ball, and Saquon Barkley had his lowest output of the season when it came to rushing. So, again, like I said, we cannot sleep on this team. I think our defense is really stellar. I think that Frankie Louvu needs to have a huge game because my thing is this. One thing about Jalen Hurts is that if you tag him a couple of times, he will eventually get very erratic with the ball. And that's what needs to happen. Frankie Louvu, Dante Fowler, everybody needs to be in on this game. I hope they have Philly Matt out there this game because we need our run-stuffing guy to stop the run. We really need him in there to really get Saquon, to stop the tush push, to stop Saquon Barkley from going off. We really need that. And hopefully they have Philly Matt in there. And like I said, we need to get the pass rush against Jalen Hurts. We need to fluster Jalen Hurts well enough that he's always feeling the pressure no matter what's going on. And we could win this game. I do feel that we can be successful in this game, but we got to act like we want to actually do it. We cannot let Philly's defense go off on Jaden. We can't let them go off on Jaden at all. This offensive line needs to show their best work tomorrow. And if they don't, we're in a lot of trouble. In a whole heaping a lot of trouble. But and I'm going to tell y'all this. I'm not one of those fans. I want us to win every game down the stretch. I don't want us to lose not one single game. Because again, like I said, you got Philly who wants the number one slot. And the funny thing about it is that, in all honesty, they may not want the number one slot. They may sit up there and say, let's just do enough to pretend like we want to win the game, but we still want Washington in that 7th slot because of the fact that we feel we can beat them in the playoffs and keep marching on. Let's show them that this is not a joke. And that if you see us in the 7, if you see us as a 2 versus a 7, there's a chance you can really lose. I don't think they want to have that risk. But again, like I said, we have to go out there and show teams that we are not playing and that we are serious about what's going on here. So as we keep marching on down this road, and we keep sitting there making it a point of showing teams that we're not to be played with, we will end up with a very successful season and a deep trip into the playoffs. Y'all tell me what y'all think. How y'all feeling about this game? Do y'all feel that we can lose this game? Or do y'all feel that this game is a massive impact when it comes to what we need to do and to show other teams in the playoffs that we are not a team to be played around with? Y'all tell me what y'all think. Other than that, this has been your man John Fortune, and this has been the Frustrated Fan Sports Show.